Hello everyone and welcome on board. So this is your boy Puso again. So I'm still here in Gaborone Dam. Such a beautiful day, partly cloudy. It's such nice and cool. In the morning it was a bit cold, but it cooled up immediately. But just to the right temperatures. I think it's around 20, maybe 22, somewhere around there. Not so windy at all. Such a nice temperature to be out there, close to the dam, feeling the breeze. The wind is so calm, and most of the birds are just so close to the water to cool themselves up. But anyway, that's not what we are here to talk about today. So today, basically, what we're going to talk about is the question that I've been getting a lot from people, from my viewers and from my followers. They hear me always mentioning guiding, and they want to know what is guiding. So I'm going to try and explain it in two ways. Okay, the first way uh, is trying to explain it to an ordinary Mutswana, you know being a guide as an ordinary Mutswana, because as far as much as is concerned, guiding is just guiding, you know just going out there and telling someone who doesn't know something about what you are going to tell them. You understand? That is guiding. So if you know something that someone doesn't know, it concerns your environment, then you are confident enough to stand in front of them and tell them about that thing, explain how that thing came into be, or explain how that thing works. Generally, you are a guide. You understand? So that's how I'm going to explain it. The first way, just being yourself and explaining what you know. So generally, in short, guiding is how well you know your environment. You understand? So your environment can be your home, can be your house, can be your homestead or your yard, your surroundings, or your village, can be the game reserve that is next to you, can be your cattle post, can be anywhere. That is your environment. Something that you can A place that you can confidently talk about. You know this place like you know yourself. You understand? The way you talk about that place to someone who doesn't know that place, you are guiding that person about that area. So automatically you are a guide. You understand? So right now, if you ask me about Gaborone, for example, the part of Gaborone that I know, you ask me about the bus rank. Okay, the Gaborone bus rank. I'm going to explain. Let's say someone is from Asia, okay, for example, or Europe or America. Then they ask me about Gaborone bus rank. I know Gaborone bus rank. I'm going to tell them about Gaborone bus rank. Where do you enter? Where do you have to look? Where do you have to go to the shops? How does the taxi system works and stuff like that? So automatically to them, I'm a guide. If I know Gaborone, the better, because I'll be taking them to the parliament, to the room monuments of the Kosi, to Gaborone main mall. So I'm a guide because I know that place better than them. I know my environment. So basically, that's what guiding is all about: knowing your environment and being able to be, confident enough to talk about your environment confidently, because I mean that's your area, that's what you know. Then we talk about the professional safari guiding now, or the professional field guiding. You have taken guiding to an extra mile, because then you are talking about how well you know your flora and fauna. You understand? Normally, this kind of guiding is taking place in our in our game reserves and national parks. That's when now you'll be able to know your environment, as in studying your animals, the wild animals, studying um, the vegetation, studying your plants, studying your birds, studying your flowers, just to study that particular environment in general and make sure that you know that environment. Because most of the time, your audience will be like professional travelers, people from overseas or even people from locally. They don't know that area. Now you are the guide, you are going to tell them about that area. So let's take an example of Moremi Game Reserve in Maui. We've got a lot of those areas around Botswana. We've got Moremi Game Reserve, we've got Chewa National Parks, we've got Kgalagadi Transfrontier Park, we've got Mashadu, we've got Tuli Block. So we've got a lot and more of those areas. But the perspective of guiding doesn't change even if you are there. How much do you know your environment? How well do you know your environment? That's generally what guiding is all about. So now, if you are on these areas and you are assigned with a duty of guiding guests, make sure that you grasp as much as information about that place as much as possible. The animals, the trees, the birds, the evolution of how things works, the weather patterns, how how nature communicate with you while you are in that environment, because most of this environment you are away from social media, you are away from the weather updates, you are away from the clinics, you are away from anything else. It's just you, your clients, and that area. So you should be able to know that area, to bond with that area to an extent that your tourists can also feel safe, and they can rely on you for their safety, for their everything. So that's the tricky part of it. Okay, you should be prepared for each and every question. And as a guide, I didn't say you have to know all. What I'm saying is gather as much information as you can about that area. Don't put yourself under pressure. you know uh, Other people will be stressed by, I mean, the gestation period of an elephant. How much milk does the calf have to drink from its mother between 3 months and 6 months, and stuff like that. The centimeters is which the trees are growing at. Well, if you want to go to that level, you can, but we try to apply common sense even to our tourists. You understand? Because unless someone is on kind of research, then you have to go onto those details. But be yourself, just be normal, be you. You understand? Just don't stress yourself onto being like that. And you don't need a qualification to be like that. You just have to apply your knowledge onto the field. That's it. So now safari guiding, it can be a bit tricky, because now remember, you are working with demanding people, you are working with demanding guests. It has to be from knowing everything about how you are surviving in that area, what you are eating, things that you can eat, things that you can't eat. You have to know your animals, you have to know your birds, you have to know your trees. But we cannot cover all those things at a go today. Okay, I just wanted to differentiate between the guiding at an ordinary level and the guiding at a professional level. But at the end of the day, it's guiding. um, when I got into this guiding world, I was so under pressure. And if you are under pressure, you get to grasp most good and bad information. Some of the things that you realize, what, I was thinking big about this. Some of these things you realize them as you get deeper into the field. No, that was useless information. So now, don't hear anyone in this world telling that no, you are a born a guide, you are this and that. It's the amount of effort you put on what you like. You understand? And in this world, I mean, whoever argues with me on this one can come in and can face them head on. There is no better guide in this world. Like I said, guiding is how much you know environment. So what limits you is how much you want to know your environment. You understand? And I've realized that because I've guided on both protected areas and outside of the protected areas. And my knowledge to guiding grew with time because I was traveling the whole of Botswana. I got an advantage to travel the whole of Botswana and part of Southern Africa. And I realized that so here is the difference, right? There can be a guide that works, for example, in Chobe National Park. They've worked in Chobe National Park for 25 years, right? Then I'm a new guide. I've just started my guiding in 2010. You're an example. You understand? So in that 2010, the first 5 years I was able to cover Chobe National Park, Moremi Game Reserve, Kalahari Transfrontier Park, the southern part of Botswana, the Tuli Block, in my 5 years as a guide. So I stand way much chance than someone who's been in Chobe for 25 years because they've not been exposed to a different environment. Remember, guiding is how much you know environment. They know Chobe very well. Chobe, you can't beat them in Chobe. They know the ropes, they know how the systems works, they know how the animals movement works, they know their avitourism, they know their flora, they know their flowers by name, they know their tricks on the field. But then if you take them out of the Chobe, then you take them to Kgalagadi Transfer Frontier Park. That is totally different, entirely different environment to them. They're not going to survive. Now that they have to listen to the guides that knows that area. So that is what guiding is all about. How much you know environment. The more you get exposed to a lot of the environments, the more you become a good guide. You understand? The more you get exposed to a lot of different environments, the more you become a good guide. But again, still, it depends on how much you want to know if you go to a different environment. You understand? Because I can go out of Moremi Game Reserve to Chobe National Park. Then I decide not to learn. Guiding is a learning process. It never ends. That's why I'm saying, if you are a guide 30 years into Chobe, or 30 years, for example, in Botswana, then you are taken to Kruger National Park in South Africa. You are not going to perform as you performed in Botswana because you don't know that area. There are some people who you will have to listen, who will tell you about area. The same thing, if you take a South African guide into Botswana for their first time, they're going to struggle to guide in that area because it's a new environment to them. So make sure that, back to my first episode to say, I want us to be guides. Everyone in Botswana, because there is something that we know that can amaze someone who doesn't know anything about them. I get amazed all the time as I travel through Botswana because I learned something new all the time. You understand? I'm not saying I'm a guide, then I just say, no, I know everything. No. Right now, I don't know anything about Moremi. Despite that, I've visited that place many times. I just have to be there and listen to what the people are telling me. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it about guiding. So, you don't have to think hard as a guide. You don't have to think hard as a young guide. What you have to think about is getting exposed. Learn every day. If you are looking at a flower like this, or a sedge like this, make sure you learn about the sedge.